In a world where animal behavior constantly surprises us, a seemingly unlikely alliance has captured the hearts of many. A majestic horse, standing guard over a pack of coyotes, has left onlookers baffled. What could drive such an unusual bond between predator and prey? The truth behind this extraordinary sight might change the way you think about animals forever. It all began on a quiet morning in a rural stretch of countryside where the rhythm of life followed the natural ebb and flow of the seasons. The land was vast and open, with rolling fields bordered by dense patches of woodland. Early risers in the area were accustomed to seeing wildlife on their morning walks or from their kitchen windows. A flash of deer bounding through the brush, a hawk soaring overhead, or the occasional coyote prowling the edges of the tree line. On this particular morning, however, something unusual caught the attention of a local farmer. From a distance, he noticed his neighbor's horse standing in the middle of an open field. It wasn't odd for the horse to be there. It was a familiar sight for anyone who lived in the area. What was strange was that the horse wasn't alone. A group of coyotes, known for their cunning and opportunistic nature, was lying in a semicircle around the horse. At first, the farmer thought it might be a predatory scenario in the making. Coyotes were no strangers to taking down livestock, and while they rarely posed a threat to larger animals, the sight of them gathered so close to the horse was alarming. Yet as he watched, he realized there was no aggression. The coyotes appeared relaxed, almost at ease, lounging in the grass as if basking in the horse's presence. The horse, far from displaying signs of fear or agitation, stood tall and calm, its gaze sweeping across the horizon, as if it were standing sentinel. This wasn't a one-time event. Over the following days, the same peculiar scene played out. The horse was frequently spotted in the field, and more often than not, the coyotes were nearby. Occasionally they would move around, sniffing the ground or playing among themselves, but they never strayed far from the horse. Passers-by began to notice this odd dynamic, and word quickly spread. Soon, neighbors, local wildlife enthusiasts, and even curious reporters started arriving, cameras in hand, to see this extraordinary sight for themselves. Questions swirled among those who observed the strange behavior. Why would a horse, a prey animal by nature, allow predators like coyotes to come so close? And why did the coyotes, usually skittish and wary of humans, seem so comfortable in their presence? The scene defied conventional wisdom about animal behavior. Many speculated it was just a fleeting phenomenon, something that would pass in a day or two. But as time went on, it became clear that this wasn't a random or fleeting occurrence. Those who watched the horse closely began to notice specific behaviors that hinted at the complexity of the situation. The horse wasn't just passively standing among the coyotes. It seemed to be actively engaged in its role. Its posture was deliberate and protective, with ears pricked forward and head held high. It frequently scanned the area, as if it were on guard duty, while the coyotes acted with an air of trust and camaraderie. There was no sign of hostility or tension. Instead, the relationship seemed to be based on mutual acceptance. Speculation turned to theories. Some believed the horse had simply grown accustomed to the coyotes after repeated interactions and no longer viewed them as a threat. Others suggested the coyotes might be benefiting from the horse's presence, using it as a shield against larger predators or as a means to scavenge scraps of food from its grazing grounds. But these ideas failed to fully explain the depth of the bond that appeared to be forming between the two species. Wildlife experts who were brought in to observe the scene were equally baffled. While cases of interspecies interaction are not unheard of, they are typically driven by survival needs, such as an orphaned animal seeking comfort or protection from another species. What made this case so perplexing was that there was no clear survival advantage for either party. The horse had no need to protect the coyotes, and the coyotes showed no signs of exploiting the horse's presence. As the days turned into weeks, the situation only grew more fascinating. The horse's behavior became even more pronounced, and it appeared to actively position itself between the coyotes and potential threats. Whether it was a curious dog from a nearby home or the sound of an approaching vehicle, the horse would adjust its stance, placing itself as a barrier between the coyotes and whatever it perceived as a potential danger. Locals began to refer to the horse as the Guardian, a title that seemed more fitting with each passing day. Despite their reputation as cunning predators, the coyotes appeared almost submissive in the horse's presence, showing no signs of aggression or dominance. They followed the horse's lead, moving when it moved and settling down when it stopped. For those fortunate enough to witness it, the sight was both puzzling and mesmerizing. It was as if the horse and coyotes had forged an unspoken understanding, transcending the typical dynamics of predator and prey. The relationship, whatever its origins, was unlike anything the community or even seasoned wildlife observers had ever seen. And so, the field where it all began became a focal point of curiosity and wonder. The horse and its unlikely companions continued their quiet routine, leaving everyone who watched them to ponder the mysteries of nature and the unexpected connections that can arise in the animal kingdom. The mystery of the bond between the horse and the coyotes deepened as more people observed the peculiar relationship. With each passing day, the puzzle seemed to grow more complex. Local residents, wildlife enthusiasts, and even animal behaviorists found themselves captivated by the unfolding drama, struggling to make sense of what they were witnessing. What was the true nature of this connection? How could such vastly different creatures coexist so peacefully? Speculation abounded, and theories ranged from the logical to the fantastical. Some observers suggested that the horse's behavior could be a result of its inherent temperament. Horses are known for their sensitivity and intelligence, often forming strong emotional connections with other animals, including humans, dogs, and even smaller livestock. Could it be that this horse had extended its innate sense of empathy to the coyotes? This idea seemed plausible, but it didn't account for why the coyotes, typically skittish and opportunistic predators, would reciprocate the bond. Others pointed to the possibility of mutual benefit. Perhaps the coyotes saw the horse as a source of protection, a deterrent against larger predators like wolves or mountain lions that might wander into the area. By staying close to the horse, the coyotes could take advantage of its size and strength. Conversely, some wondered if the horse had something to gain from the coyote's presence. Coyotes are known to hunt small rodents and other pests that could disrupt a horse's grazing area. Was this an example of an unspoken agreement, a form of natural symbiosis where each party gained something of value from the other? Still, these practical explanations didn't fully capture the emotional depth that many felt while watching the interactions. The horse wasn't simply tolerating the coyotes, it seemed to be actively engaged in their lives. Observers noted moments of quiet camaraderie, such as when the coyotes would playfully nip at each other's tails or roll in the grass, and the horse would stand nearby, calm and unbothered. Occasionally, the horse would lower its head as if acknowledging the coyotes, and in return, the coyotes would wag their tails or sit attentively as if paying respect. Some speculated that the bond might have formed under extraordinary circumstances. Had the horse and coyotes encountered a shared moment of vulnerability, perhaps a severe storm or a close call with a predator, that had united them in a moment of mutual survival? Such experiences have been known to forge unlikely alliances in the animal kingdom. However, no one could pinpoint any recent event that might explain this theory. To understand the relationship better, local experts began analyzing the coyotes' behavior more closely. Coyotes are known for their adaptability and intelligence, often forming complex social structures within their packs. Unlike their wolf cousins, coyotes tend to be less territorial and more opportunistic, capable of thriving in a variety of environments. But even with this adaptability, their behavior in this scenario was highly unusual. The coyotes displayed a level of trust and dependency on the horse that defied their typical survival instincts. On one occasion, a particularly bold coyote wandered too far from the group and was startled by a sudden noise. Instead of running back to the safety of the woods, it sprinted directly toward the horse, stopping only once it was under the protective shadow of its towering companion. The horse responded by stepping slightly forward, placing itself between the coyote and the perceived threat. This moment left onlookers stunned. It wasn't just that the coyotes saw the horse as a source of safety. It seemed the horse understood its role as their protector. Adding to the intrigue was the coyotes' apparent respect for the horse. Coyotes are often opportunistic, scavenging for food wherever they can find it. Yet, despite their proximity to the horse, they showed no signs of aggression or attempts to take advantage of its resources. Instead, they seemed to follow an unspoken set of rules, keeping a respectful distance from the horse while it grazed and never exhibiting behavior that could be interpreted as threatening or invasive. As the days turned into weeks, the bond between the horse and the coyotes became an ongoing topic of discussion and debate. Social media platforms lit up with photos and videos of the unlikely companions, sparking conversations far beyond the small rural community where the phenomenon was taking place. Wildlife experts from across the country weighed in, offering their own interpretations and hypotheses. Some pointed to studies suggesting that animals are capable of forming emotional connections across species boundaries, particularly when they share similar challenges or experiences. Others argued that the relationship might be rooted in evolutionary psychology. Perhaps the horse and coyotes, recognizing each other as non-threatening, had simply decided that coexistence was preferable to conflict. For the local community, however, the bond wasn't just a scientific curiosity, it was a source of wonder and inspiration. Parents brought their children to see the field where the horse and coyotes gathered, using the opportunity to teach lessons about harmony and the unpredictability of nature. The scene became a symbol of coexistence, a reminder that even in a world often marked by division, moments of connection and understanding could still emerge. Despite the best efforts of experts and enthusiasts alike, no definitive explanation emerged to fully account for the bond between the horse and the coyotes. The relationship remained shrouded in mystery, a testament to the complexity of nature and the ways in which animals continue to surprise and humble us with their behavior. As the sun set over the field each evening, casting a golden glow over the grazing horse and its unlikely companions, one thing became clear: some mysteries are better left unsolved, existing not to be dissected but to be marveled at, a quiet reminder of the beauty and unpredictability of the natural world. The investigation into the horse's peculiar behavior took an unexpected turn when its past began to come to light. This wasn't just any horse. It had a history that many believed held the key to understanding its extraordinary bond with the coyotes. Known locally as Blaze, the horse had a reputation for being both resilient and unusually empathetic, traits shaped by a life that had been anything but ordinary. Blaze's story began years earlier when he was rescued from a dire situation. He had been found on an abandoned property, severely malnourished and neglected. The rescue workers who brought him to safety described him as a fighter, but also as an animal, with a gentle and kind disposition, despite the hardships he had endured. He had scars that told a story of struggle, physical wounds from entanglements with barbed wire, and a thin, undernourished frame that spoke of prolonged neglect. In the care of his rescuers, Blaze's remarkable nature began to emerge. Unlike other horses, who often displayed caution or fear around new people or animals, Blaze seemed drawn to those in need. The rescue center often took in other animals, including stray dogs, cats, and even a few orphaned deer. Blaze was known to lower his head to nuzzle the smaller animals, standing patiently as they adjusted to his presence. Some of the staff joked that Blaze had the heart of a therapist, always willing to offer comfort to any creature that crossed his path. Blaze's deep capacity for connection didn't stop at animals. He formed strong bonds with the humans who cared for him, often greeting them with a soft whinny and nudging their hands as if to offer reassurance. He had an uncanny ability to sense emotions, often approaching the staff members who seemed troubled and standing quietly by their side. Many who worked with Blaze described him as an old soul, a being who seemed to understand the world on a deeper level. After his recovery, Blaze was adopted by a family who lived on the edge of a sprawling countryside. They provided him with a safe and loving home, giving him the freedom to roam the open fields and the companionship of other horses. But even here, Blaze's unique nature set him apart. He was often seen wandering the property alone, as if drawn to the solitude of the fields and woods. The family noticed that he had a habit of stopping to observe other animals, from rabbits darting through the grass to hawks circling overhead. It was as if Blaze recognized the interconnectedness of all living things, a trait that only deepened the mystery of his bond with the coyotes. When the coyotes first appeared near Blaze, it didn't come as a total shock to his owners. They were aware of Blaze's reputation for empathy, but the extent of his interaction with the coyotes was unexpected. At first, the family worried about the potential danger. Coyotes were, after all, wild animals, and their presence near a domesticated horse could lead to trouble. But their concerns quickly dissipated as they observed the relationship unfold. Blaze showed no signs of fear or aggression, and the coyotes seemed to respect his space, behaving more like curious companions than opportunistic predators. The bond grew stronger with time, and Blaze's past provided some clues as to why. Animal behaviorists who learned of Blaze's history suggested that his traumatic experiences and subsequent recovery had shaped him into an animal with a heightened sense of empathy and an ability to connect across species. Much like humans who have endured hardship, Blaze seemed to have developed a deep understanding of vulnerability and the need for connection. Perhaps he recognized something in the coyotes, something in their cautious movements or their initial hesitance that resonated with his own experiences. It was also possible that Blaze's ability to forge this bond was rooted in his unique upbringing. Horses are social animals by nature, often forming strong bonds with their herd. In Blaze's case, his herd had been an ever-changing group of animals and humans during his time at the rescue center. This unconventional socialization might have expanded his understanding of relationships, allowing him to see the coyotes not as threats, but as potential companions. As Blaze continued his interactions with the coyotes, his past became a focal point of the story. Local news outlets picked up on the tale, framing Blaze as a symbol of resilience and empathy. People who had known Blaze during his time at the rescue center came forward to share their memories, recounting the moments that had defined his remarkable character. One story in particular stood out. A moment when Blaze had comforted a young foal that had been separated from its mother. Blaze had stood by the foal's side, gently nuzzling it and keeping it calm until the mother was found. It was as if Blaze had an innate ability to step into the role of a guardian when others were in need. This aspect of Blaze's personality seemed to explain much of his behavior with the coyotes. He wasn't just tolerating their presence, he was actively taking on the role of a protector. Observers noted how Blaze often positioned himself between the coyotes and the tree line, as if shielding them from potential threats that might emerge from the woods. He also displayed a calm vigilance, scanning the horizon with a posture that radiated both confidence and care. For those who knew Blaze's story, his actions were a testament to the resilience of the animal spirit. Despite the hardships he had endured, Blaze had emerged as a beacon of empathy and understanding. His bond with the coyotes, while still a mystery, seemed to reflect the same qualities that had defined his life: an unyielding belief in connection, a willingness to protect the vulnerable, and a heart that knew no boundaries. Blaze's past, once marked by pain and neglect, had become a story of transformation. And in the quiet fields where he stood watch over his unlikely companions, his journey continued to inspire those who witnessed it, offering a powerful reminder of the beauty that can emerge from even the most challenging circumstances. The coyotes' behavior in this unusual partnership with Blaze was as intriguing as the horses. Coyotes, often misunderstood and mischaracterized as purely opportunistic predators, are, in reality, highly adaptable and intelligent animals. They possess a strong social structure within their packs, communicate through a complex system of vocalizations, and exhibit a surprising degree of flexibility in their interactions with other species. Even so, their relationship with Blaze defied conventional understanding. Coyotes are known to be wary creatures. Their survival often depends on their ability to remain alert, avoid larger predators, and exploit resources without drawing unnecessary attention. This instinctive caution is particularly evident in their interactions with humans and large domesticated animals. Yet, the coyotes around Blaze displayed an unusual sense of ease. They weren't just tolerating his presence, they seemed to actively seek it. From the beginning, the coyotes' behavior toward Blaze was marked by a kind of reverence. They kept a respectful distance when he grazed, never attempting to encroach on his personal space or provoke him. At times, they appeared almost submissive, lowering their bodies and wagging their tails in what some observers interpreted as gestures of deference. This was highly atypical for a species known for its boldness and independence. It suggested that the coyotes recognized Blaze as something more than a mere presence in their environment. He was a figure of authority or protection. Interestingly, the coyotes seemed to organize their activities around Blaze's routines. When he moved to a different part of the field, they followed, maintaining a loose formation that allowed them to stay close without crowding him. When Blaze settled in one spot, the coyotes would find their own places nearby, lying down or engaging in playful interactions with one another. Their trust in Blaze was evident in their relaxed behavior. They would roll in the grass, groom one another, and even nap while he stood watch. This dynamic prompted numerous questions. Why would wild animals, whose natural instincts often drive them to keep a safe distance from larger creatures, exhibit such trust? What did the coyotes gain from this relationship? And perhaps most intriguingly, what did Blaze gain from their presence? Some wildlife experts theorized that the coyotes were leveraging Blaze's size and strength to enhance their own safety. While coyotes are skilled predators in their own right, they are also vulnerable to larger predators like wolves and mountain lions, which occasionally roam the area. By staying close to Blaze, the coyotes might have been using him as a shield, counting on his imposing stature to deter potential threats. This strategy would not be entirely unprecedented. Coyotes have been known to associate with larger animals, such as badgers, in mutually beneficial relationships. But this theory only partially explained the coyotes' behavior. Their interactions with Blaze went beyond simple pragmatism. They seemed to recognize him not just as a protective presence, but as an integral part of their group. This level of integration was evident in the way the coyotes communicated with him. Observers noted instances where the coyotes would yip or howl softly in his direction, as if trying to include him in their vocal exchanges. While Blaze didn't respond vocally, his body language, ears swiveling toward the sound, head tilting slightly, suggested that he was attuned to their signals. There was also the question of what the coyotes brought to the table. Unlike the traditional predator-prey dynamic, there was no indication that the coyotes viewed Blaze as a food source or a target for opportunistic scavenging. Instead, they seemed to coexist with him in a state of mutual respect. Some speculated that the coyotes' presence might have indirectly benefited Blaze by keeping smaller pests, such as rodents, at bay. This would align with the symbiotic relationships observed in other parts of the animal kingdom, where species collaborate in ways that enhance their mutual survival. However, other experts suggested a more emotional or social dimension to the coyotes' behavior. Coyotes are deeply social animals, relying on their pack structure for survival and emotional well-being. It's possible that the coyotes, sensing Blaze's calm and steady demeanor, saw him as an honorary member of their pack. This theory gained traction when observers noted that the coyotes would often mirror Blaze's movements, as if taking cues from his actions. When he stood alert, scanning the horizon, the coyotes would do the same. When he relaxed, they seemed to take it as a signal that all was well. One of the most striking aspects of the coyotes' behavior was their playful nature. Play is an important part of coyote socialization, helping to strengthen bonds within the pack and establish hierarchies. Around Blaze, the coyotes engaged in play with a frequency and enthusiasm that suggested they felt entirely at ease. They chased each other through the grass, pounced on imaginary prey, and even rolled onto their backs in displays of trust and submission. These behaviors underscored the depth of their comfort in Blaze's presence and hinted at the possibility that they saw him not just as a protector, but as a companion. This relationship also highlighted the adaptability of coyote behavior. Coyotes are often vilified as cunning and ruthless, but this interaction revealed a more nuanced side to their nature. They demonstrated an ability to recognize and respect boundaries, to form connections with a member of a different species, and to navigate an entirely unique social dynamic with remarkable grace. In doing so, they challenged many of the stereotypes that have long defined their reputation. As the coyotes and Blaze continued their peaceful coexistence, their bond served as a powerful reminder of the complexity of animal behavior. It wasn't just about survival or practicality, it was about connection. The coyotes, with their sharp instincts and playful energy, had found something in Blaze that went beyond the ordinary. And in return, Blaze had embraced their presence, offering protection and companionship in a way that defied expectations. Together, they created a tableau of harmony that captured the imagination of everyone who witnessed it, a living testament to the surprising ways in which animals can forge relationships that transcend the boundaries of species and instinct. The bond between Blaze and the coyotes not only captivated those who observed it, but also sparked profound reflections about the natural world and humanity's place within it. This extraordinary relationship, born of instinct and emotion, seemed to carry lessons that extended far beyond the field where it unfolded. For many, it was a reminder of the incredible possibilities that emerge when we approach the world with curiosity and openness rather than fear or prejudice. One of the most powerful takeaways from Blaze's story was the idea of coexistence. In a world often characterized by competition and conflict, the partnership between Blaze and the coyotes stood as a striking example of harmony. These animals, which might traditionally be seen as adversaries, or at best indifferent to one another, had forged a connection built on mutual respect and understanding. Their relationship suggested that coexistence is not just a theoretical possibility, but a practical reality, even in situations where it seems least likely. For humans, this idea of coexistence carried a particularly poignant message. People often view the natural world through the lens of dominance and control, believing that survival requires conflict and the imposition of one's will over others. Blaze and the coyotes challenged this notion. Their bond showed that survival and success can also be achieved through collaboration, empathy, and the recognition of shared goals. If a horse and a pack of coyotes could find common ground, what might humanity learn from their example? The story also highlighted the underestimated emotional and social complexity of animals. For centuries, humans have debated the extent to which animals are capable of experiencing emotions or forming relationships. While science has increasingly validated the idea that animals experience emotions similar to our own, Blaze and the coyotes provided a vivid, real-world example that went beyond the lab or the academic journal. Their interactions were rich with behaviors that suggested care, trust, and even a sense of community. For those who witnessed their bond, it was impossible to deny the depth of connection these animals had achieved. Another important lesson came in the form of empathy. Blaze's history of hardship and his remarkable capacity to connect with others served as a powerful reminder of the resilience of the spirit. Despite experiencing neglect and suffering, Blaze had emerged as a protector and a symbol of kindness. His ability to extend his protective instincts to a group of wild animals underscored the universal nature of empathy, a trait that transcends species boundaries. In a world often marked by division and misunderstanding, Blaze's story inspired many to consider how they might extend empathy and understanding to those who are different from themselves. The Coyotes, too, had much to teach. They demonstrated adaptability, openness, and a willingness to forge bonds outside their immediate pack. In doing so, they challenged the stereotypes that often paint them as cunning and solitary predators. Their actions suggested that even animals driven by survival instincts are capable of recognizing and valuing relationships that go beyond mere utility. The Coyotes' trust in Blaze and their ability to integrate him into their social dynamic hinted at an intelligence and emotional depth that is often overlooked. As Blaze and the Coyotes continued their peaceful coexistence, their story began to take on a life of its own. Videos and photographs of their interactions circulated widely on social media, capturing the attention of people around the world. Animal behaviorists, conservationists, and everyday observers all weighed in, offering their perspectives on what this unique relationship revealed about the natural world. For some, it was a scientific curiosity. For others, it was a source of inspiration and hope. The field where Blaze and the Coyotes gathered became a pilgrimage site of sorts, drawing visitors who wanted to witness the bond for themselves. Parents brought their children, hoping to instill a sense of wonder and respect for nature. Photographers and journalists arrived, eager to document the scene and share its message with a broader audience. Even those who had lived in the area for years found themselves viewing their surroundings with fresh eyes, reminded of the beauty and mystery that exists in the world when we take the time to look for it. This growing interest sparked important conversations about the way humans interact with wildlife. Many began to question the assumptions and practices that define our relationship with the natural world. If animals like Blaze and the Coyotes could form such a profound bond, what might this mean for the ways we approach conservation, habitat preservation, and the protection of vulnerable species? Could understanding and empathy become central to our strategies rather than fear and control? The story also prompted reflection on the ways in which humans can learn from animals. Too often, people view themselves as separate from or superior to the natural world, failing to recognize the wisdom and insight that animals can offer. Blaze and the Coyotes demonstrated qualities, empathy, adaptability, and the ability to find common ground that many would argue are sorely needed in human society. Their bond encouraged those who witnessed it to think about how these lessons might be applied in their own lives. Ultimately, Blaze and the Coyotes left an indelible mark on everyone who encountered their story. Their relationship, born of instinct and shaped by experience, served as a reminder that the boundaries we assume to exist between species, between predator and prey, between the domesticated and the wild, are often more fluid than we realize. In their quiet way, Blaze and the Coyotes challenged us to look beyond the surface, to question our assumptions, and to embrace the possibility of connection in even the most unlikely circumstances. As the seasons changed and the field where they gathered shifted from the greens of summer to the golds of autumn, Blaze and the Coyotes continued their peaceful routine, a living testament to the unexpected beauty of the natural world. For those who had the privilege of witnessing their bond, the lesson was clear. Nature, in all its complexity and wonder, has much to teach us, if only we are willing to listen.